And hi, everybody. Welcome to Rick Snider's Washington, where you get the whole story. So please like, share, subscribe, and comment. And wear my gold and silver shirt. It's got in Vegas. All right, so I'll let the room fill in, but thank you all for coming. If you're watching on replay later on, thank you for coming. Just thanks for coming, whatever. If there's a lot going on in town, but I'll wait till Steve pops up. Oh, I'm a minute early. That's why. Okay. Long day. So we can talk cherry blossoms. We can talk Terps. We talk Commanders and Nationals. I mean, there's a lot going on this week. Next week is the NFL meetings. Next Monday. I'm not sure I'll do a show next Monday. I might do it Tuesday. Hey Zeus, thank you for coming. Ooh, and you're first in the room. You beat Steve and Todd. That's unusual. So I'm just waiting for the room to start filling up. Sorry, I was a minute early. Didn't realize it. But thank you, Jesus. I'm doing well. It's spring. Thank God. Have some fun. The weather's decent. Not great, but it's decent. Things are coming alive. Cherry blossoms are blooming. My tour business is picked up again. Took a breath from the Commanders, and hey, things are good. All right, George, you're here too. Well, where's Todd and Steve? They're always first. Well, thank you, Jesus. I'm glad you did. For those of you watching on replay, especially, I did have the first episode drop of my new show, 52 Questions for God. It will be on Sundays, 6 a.m. Of course, you can watch it whenever you want afterwards. And we did real well. We had about 15,000 people view it. Where if you get, there you are, Steve. Steve, you're like fifth in line, man. I hate to tell you what happened there. Anyway, 52 Questions for God is now up. We're going to do 52 weeks, hopefully. One question every week, 6 to 10 minutes. You have to still go to church, and no, we don't pass the plate. But I was surprised. Our first one was about who God is, and I have a pastor with me, an old friend of mine. We've known each other 50 years, so we just talk one on one, kind of like this, and answer the question, and then move on our day. So if you like to watch it, the first episode is in the Rick Snider's Washington portfolio, or whatever we call it. After the show, you can go get it. All right, Steve, thanks for coming. So let's see. What do we want to talk about first? Dan Quinn did get a big award today with the Washington Commanders. He got sorry, allergies, man, started bothering. He got an award basically for his involvement with the fallen heroes and their families of the military, and he's been doing that for about 10 years. And they gave him this year's honor, and that's a great honor. I really like Quinn. I mean, not saying, listen, I can say whatever I want. I'm at the end of my career. I'm not kissing anybody's butt just to advance on something. I really do like Quinn. I like what he's done. I mean, if we had the list, I think I've covered 13 Commanders coaches. Gibbs is Gibbs. It's one of those Route Rushmore things. You're never passing Gibbs. But I would put Quinn right there after him as one of my favorite coaches and one of the better ones. I mean, arrogance hurts so many of these past coaches that I've covered. Shanahan, Schottenheimer, especially. They were really undermined by their arrogance. Zorn just didn't have any business being one. Gruden was a decent head coach, but Snider kept getting really involved at that point and screwing stuff up. Spurrier, his arrogance, yeah, there's another one. It's amazing. I mean, these guys, smart guys, been successful and still are idiots. So, but Quinn didn't do that. Quinn knows how to lead people. I thought last year was a master class in coaching. And not because he just went all the way to the NFC Championship, but watching him form that team out of, completely from scratch, he and Peters did a terrific job. And so he got a decent, he should have been coach of the year, quite frankly. I mean, you were talking about, well, what about Dan Brown? Dan Brown had a really good team coming back. Dan Quinn had a 4-win team coming back in his first step and had 60 new players. I mean, 60%. I mean, good Lord, what a Herculean deal last year was. Can they do it again this year? That's going to be real interesting. We can talk about that in a minute. Because I know a lot of people were disappointed in free agency that they didn't sign the 10 highest guys on the chart, but honestly, they traded for people strategically they needed Debo and Tunsil. I mean, those are two big pieces. Free agents, trades, whatever. You got two guys right there, and they got a bunch of other guys. I really like the Michael Gallup signing. Um, I know he's going to just be the number 3, and I usually don't talk about reserves too much, but I like, Gallup was a nice player, and he retired last year and decided to come back. So maybe he's motivated to really be something. Uh, that's an interesting one. So I think next week's the league meetings. We'll hear from Adam Peters next week. He hasn't talked to the media since all free agency started, but he will next week. So we'll hear some of his thoughts of how he's putting together this year's roster. But they didn't really lose anybody that you thought, oh no. I mean, Jeremy Chin, I didn't like seeing that one leave, but they got Will Harris, who's half the cost and about the same intensity kind of guy. So I really can't blame that pick there. Not too many things that I see that really is like, ooh. Gregory, do you think we're done with free agency? Well, you're never really done, but they're done with anything dramatic. I mean, you're always tinkering with the roster. Will they get more draft picks? Maybe, maybe not. Let's see. Bob's here. Thank you. Appreciate you coming. Let's see. Steve, Zorn was probably the worst. The worst coach. Wow. Let me think about that for a second. No, I would say Spurrier was the worst. I mean, it wasn't Zorn's fault that they paid him head coach. Okay, so you got to give him a little bit of a break there. But like Todd said, Spurrier, he stunk here. He had no interest in being here. He wanted the money, and he wanted a chance to try his offense in the NFL, and that's all he cared about. He was not a head coach. I couldn't even tell you defensive players' names. That was the truth of that. Who is the best coach? Well, Gibbs, Greg. I mean, after Gibbs, I would say Quinn. After Quinn, maybe Schottenheimer. He didn't get long, but he was a good coach. Let's see. Yeah, Gibbs. I mean, Gibbs, his second stint, obviously wasn't what the first one was. But I thought Sean Taylor's death, he was also a master at coaching in the final weeks of that season when they won out. I think they won 5 straight, got to the playoffs. I thought they were going to win the Super Bowl. And then he retired. He had so much on his mind. He had a grandson who came down with leukemia, so they were dealing with that. And Sean Taylor, of course, dying. I mean, and yet he lifted that franchise up. That was a master class in coaching. Also, just as good as his early years. He didn't have the players, but he didn't have Beathard on there. Roy, let's see. Fun and gunny Steve Spurrier was the worst coach, probably. I mean, wasn't a bad person per se, but I've met worse. I did not like Shanahan at all. And I think Shanahan's time here will cost him the Hall of Fame. And I've heard others tell me they believe that too. That he did such a poor job here that it tainted what he had done in Denver. Joe Bugle was the best assistant coach, Gregory. There were some good ones. I mean, there were some good assistant coaches on the staff of Gibbs. Like 3 or 4 of them were really good. But I mean, Joe was right there with them. I'll say that. As far as if you take away Gibbs' staff and say who was the best assistant coach, probably Marvin Lewis comes to mind because he basically had to run the team for Spurrier. So he was doing everything. Then he went to Cincinnati for a long time. Todd, Spurrier signed a lot of his ex-players. I mean, I remember I had a heart attack right before the first game of Spurrier's regular season. The Wednesday at the park, massive heart attack. So I missed 3 weeks. Came back, had to come out to Redskin Park on a Saturday because he was going to name a new quarterback. So it's just me and the post guy there. And so Spurrier says, we're going to start Danny Werfel. So I asked him the softball question, basically, of why. Figured he'd just say something like, well, he gives us the best chance to win. That kind of BS. Man, he got mad and started yelling at me about, I'm the ball coach and you're not to talk to me this way and all this stuff. And he really got it on me. Well, being a newspaper guy, you got to have thick skin. You just let that roll off you. It's like being in the military. You got to just let it roll off you. But Spurrier, to his credit, walked away angry and then stopped and came back and apologized to me, which I appreciated. And I just said, Steve, I just survived a massive heart attack. You really think I give a damn what you think? And he laughed and I laughed. We never had a bad word again. But I was kind of distracted that season in a way. Yeah, Spurrier, what a mess that was. Do I think Shanahan will get in the Hall of Fame, Greg? No, I don't think he will. If he would have, I know they always talk about his tree, and hey, he had a lot of assistant coaches here that went on to be head coaches. But I just think your last impression being such a bad one, I think he'd have to be senior committee guy. His Denver one deserved to be there, but you don't count this Denver one completely. He had 4 years here, and I thought he did an awful job in so many different ways. Things like Hainsworth handled that completely wrong. Not that Hainsworth wasn't a load and stole the money basically. There's no doubt of that. But if it's 90% Hainsworth's fault, it's still 10% coach's fault. Because one thing you have to remember, it's the same thing with Shanahan and like Robert Griffin. You're the elder in the room. You're the coach. You have the power. Nobody's saying otherwise. But you have to know how to deal with these young men. And that's what Quinn has done great at doing that. I'm not saying Quinn didn't kick a few butts somewhere, but Shanahan didn't know. He's just like, I'm the boss in your applesauce, and you're going to do it my way. And the guys were like, and it didn't work at all. And that's, you're the elder in the room. You should be able to handle that. A lot of my following is 45 to 65 years old, sort of like me. So we all know sometimes you deal with young people and you can't just say, I'm older than you and you're going to do what I say, because that ain't going to work. It ain't going to work at all. Anybody's had kids could tell you that. So, Shanahan totally blew that type of dynamic, and you're being paid for that. And it was important. And that's why they lost, because he couldn't get out of his own way. Antoinette, there you go, Antoinette. Do you think the Nationals have a chance to make the playoffs this year? I think they're probably a year short. Maybe next year. They had the first pick in the draft in June. Not that guy will help them this year, but it's nice. Hopefully they're talking about picking a left-handed pitcher. I don't know if they can get another Strasburg. That'd be nice. So that's another year. The young guys got a lot of young guys, so I think they're probably a year away. But I'd like to think that they could maybe be a 500 team. Got some nice talent on there. Nothing, they don't have any great players, but they got a lot of promising players. And Nationals start at 4 o'clock on Thursday. And then finish watching that, eat dinner, and then the Terps play at 8 p.m. on Thursday. Well, it's like 7:50 something, but they always run late. And the Terps will be playing Florida. I think they can beat them. I picked the Terps to go Final Four. Remember last week's show? I didn't do that bad overall. Went to 12-4 in the second round. Kind of got screwed in the first a little bit, but like everybody else. But I still have all my 4 teams left. We'll see. But I think the Terps had a lousy game in some respects, but Colorado State was a pretty decent team. Better than 12 seed. They should have been higher. And Maryland got it done. And did he travel? I don't want to hear that BS. When's the last traveling call you saw? I haven't called traveling in 30 years. It used to be 1 step. Then it was 2. Now it's 3. Hell, I think you got to grab the ball at midcourt, wrap your both arms around it, and run all the way in before they would call traveling. I mean, they just don't call it, But they didn't call a lot of things in that game. So Maryland won, and that's the way it is, and we ain't going to relitigate that part of it. But I think the Terps, Queen's a really special player. I think all 5 starters are gone next year. Some of them are seniors, but I've been a Maryland basketball fan since I was 13 back in the 70s. So love watching this. It was great seeing that shot. Must be something in the air. Commanders won a lot of games at the end. And the Terps won this one after losing a few. Be kind of nice. Caps are doing great. Got the best record. I don't know if Obi's going to make that record by the end of the season. That injury cost him time. Joel, Pettibone was bad. You know what? I covered that team every day. Bone didn't want the job, but they had no choice but to promote him, and Gibbs maneuvered it so that Pettibone got it, and he got a 2-year deal, and he knew everything was screwed, and he just kept his mouth shut on it. They run out of gas as a team, And at the end of the year, he knew he'd be let go. What Cook did, though, was call him in and say, listen, you got 1 year left on your contract. I'm going to give you a second year of pay, too. So 2 more years of money, but you have to stay out of the league. You have to retire. And Bone said, okay. It was a fair offer. He didn't want, Richie going against them. So he paid him extra money. Richie was like, yeah, it's the end of my career. Why not? And took the money. So win-win really for everybody there. So he just had nothing left. That team aged really quickly after 91. So he was just a stopgap guy. So he wasn't a bad guy. I mean, listen, Richie as an assistant, he and Gibbs made great halftime adjustments. They were some of the best I'd ever seen. Okay, Todd. So happy about the Terps beating Colorado. Yeah, everybody's happy about that. And I'm a Terp grad too, so I can be that. It's my college. And I think they'll beat Florida. And after that, well, I did have them beating St. John's in my bracket. So, we'll see who they would play over there. Steve, sad Strasburg had to retire. Man, when you read about the injuries at Strasburg where they had to take out ribs and stuff and how he's still in constant pain, I feel for the guy. So, I'm glad he got the money because he's hampered for life on something like that. It's just hard to believe. And it's sad, but, that's part of the risk you take, I guess. Just weird for a baseball player to have that kind of injuries. But I wish him well. He's not a bad guy. He didn't talk to the media much, but I don't hold that against him. Larry, that Go Duke's going to get you banned from this. From this. I covered games at Duke. It was a unique experience. I didn't like it, but, whatever. Gregory, Wizards owner needs to sell. I agree. I was saying that today. They stink. But he owns the Caps, but he owns the arena. He wants to buy the Nats. Ted Lensis is a smart guy, and yet somehow the Wizards are his kryptonite. Craven, week 1 of 93. Felt like it was going to be Super Bowl. Yeah, they beat Dallas on that one. And then they won 3 games that year or 4. I forget. Maybe 4. It was kind of like the shocking truth of Super Bowl days were over. And it just now are coming back. Todd, well, okay, Cooper Flagg's a great talent. I know everybody's trying to tank to get him in the NBA. His twin brother is going to Duke. Really, Ace? I didn't think Ace was that good. I saw a story about him on TV, and they were sort of like, nice ball player, but he's not Cooper. I'd like to be that guy. Steve, yeah, I'm a class of 82 from Maryland. So, been a long time. When you're 50 years grad, you can be a golden Terp and come to the graduation in the spring and be part of it wearing the gold robes. I plan on doing that if God willing I'm here, which is only 7 more years. Todd, it would be awesome if Maryland played Duke in the tournament. Yeah, that would be cool. But win this time, Joel, Richie Petman couldn't beat New York Jets 3-0. I remember that game. Partly I remember that game because I think it was the coldest game I've ever been to. And we were in the old RFK press box, so there was no heat, and it was open air. There's no protection from the elements. I thought I was going to die. It was so cold in that place. And I don't mind the cold weather, but that was brutal. That's what I remember from that game so much. Gregory, is training camp moving this year? No, not this year. But next year, maybe. There's been some talks about it. And they're still trying to figure out where's the new stadium going, which I say right now, I'd say it's probably staying in Maryland. And, what does that mean does the team have to move to Maryland? I don't think so. But it's not that big a deal to have your training facility in a state for tax reasons because players pay taxes on where they're playing the game. So they play their games in Maryland. So the player payroll is in Maryland. You do have staff, of course, that would add more to it, but not enough to make a death march, and die on some hill over it. So I think, once they figure out the stadium, probably later this year, I think they missed a chance in DC for a lot of financial reasons, and mostly it's DC's fault. I think they stay in Maryland, and I think they'll have a new facility in Ashburn in the next maybe 3 years. and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot still going on. When are they coming back with that new uniform? I don't know. Nobody's asked that yet. I'm surprised. Oh, 818. Okay, so this is the part where I'm a whore and I just say, hey, please help support the channel. And you see the dollar sign below me on the screen. I appreciate it if you hit it, and $2, $5, $10, whatever. It's the off season. I'm here talking to you and giving you the time. I've been up since 5 a.m. doing stuff today. It would be okay to just go sit on the couch and fall asleep. So I do this for you guys. So, and I'll do it through the draft, and we'll see, taking a break after some point. But we're doing that. And next Monday is my wife's birthday, which means I'm probably not doing this next Monday. I'm probably doing it Tuesday. So stay tuned for that. We may go to Tuesday next week when I think about it. All right, Craven. So the RFK deal is dead? No, it's not, because there's no deal there yet for it to be dead or alive. But I think the city's massive economic problems caused by all this stuff going on with, they're talking about 100,000 federal workers being laid off in the end, and that's a lot of money missing from the city, for a lot of reasons. I could go on for that for a while. I'm not, but that's going to really hurt the city's bottom line. So I'm not sure they'll be able to do this, and I'm not sure the city council is going to want to do this. So there's a lot going on there. The Poplar Point one that you always hear about as an alternate site, Poplar Point, which is basically right across the river from Nats Park, today announced that they're going to have this big spa for rich people there, and it's going to take a significant amount of land, which means Poplar Point is gone off the list of places. And there really isn't anywhere else in D.C. but RFK. But Poplar Point's going to have some kind of European spa for rich folks, because there ain't nobody else going there. So forget that. That's off the list. How far away from serious talks with NFL and Goodell on the new stadium, Greg? I'm not sure. League meetings this week. I think they're all going to talk this week there and see where do we stand. UVA got their head coach. UVA, Joel. I'm a Maryland grad. We hate UVA. Sorry. No. As William and Mary likes to tell UVA people, Jefferson went to our school. I always thought that was one of the funny things. Todd, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. You'd be like Todd, and we're going to do this. Also, because so many people go in and out of the show, most people last 10, 15 minutes. I'll just pitch again. My new show, 52 Questions for God, is now on. It's on the YouTube channel. Every Sunday, 6 a.m., pastor, a friend of mine, and I, we pre-tape them. We'll be talking one question for 6 to 10 minutes. The opening question was about who God is. Second question this coming Sunday will be why bad things happen to good people, which you've heard of. And then third one's about heaven. Fourth's about hell. I don't know. We talk about things that you'd like somebody to talk about at church, but they never do. So if you go on Rick Snider's Washington, you can see that. If you can hit the thumbs up button, at least, if you don't want to throw money at me, I appreciate that. The algorithm, how that goes. New book coming out, Secrets of Caveman Cooking, updated. I got a bunch of new recipes for it and all. Getting ready to go to the designer, and so I think it'll be on the market in a month, something like that. Got a lot going on, to be honest, besides sports. I told you guys this, I said I'm turning 65 and I want to do some other things and cutting back on Commanders, and I'm not going to worry about, Clay Farrell's, injury report every Friday as much. So, it's been a long career, 47 years. We'll see how many more years it goes. I'm going to do this season, but, I've recently seen people pass away, like, say, Feinstein, and, life ain't certain. So I'm enjoying some other things too. And if you want to come along for the ride, great. If you don't, I understand. Go listen to somebody else that'll tell you the same box score every week. All right, Marcus, 24 is intense. Yeah, it sure was, man. It was 6 straight games. It went down to the last play. Who does that? That was nuts. Joel, yeah, okay. So they went 4-12 and 93. And then Norv came in here and went 3-13. Next year he went 6-10. And then they were like 500 for a couple years, and then they punched through for a year. And then Dan Snider screwed it all up. Craven. If they can't put a stadium in RFK, hopefully they build one on the harbor. There was old Oxen Cove. Was long been discussed, and it was even a done deal at one point. And Dan Snider then ticked off the governor Hogan, who pulled the deal. I mean, I had people in the room. That deal was done. They hadn't signed it, but it was done, and Snider screwed it up. Imagine that. Let's see, Steve, and that's when Maryland used to be in the ACC. Yeah, I know. I miss the ACC, the old ACC. The new ACC is such a weird situation that, well, so is all of college sports. That I guess there's no going back. So you just got to go forward. But look at the big. Look at the NCAA tournament. It's basically the major conferences are dominating. Big surprise there. Okay. Is it God? I don't know. God something. I'm sorry, I can't say it. You just got in. You just came back. Well, great. I'm glad you're back. We'll be here mostly on Mondays, maybe Tuesday next week. Home opener, Greg. Well, the schedule for the NFL, Greg, comes out in the middle of May. So we'll see. It'd be nice. I like home openers. I think baseball should always have a home opener with Nats Park. It's part of tradition. It used to be the tradition. The president came, threw out the first pitch and all that kind of stuff. Although they used to sit in the stands and throw it out to the players. Woodrow Wilson used to park his convertible down the right field line at Old Griffith Stadium. He loved baseball so much. He was in foul territory. That's kind of weird how you could do that. Marcus, read Feinstein's book about Bruce the Caddy. Oh, yeah, Tom Watson's guy. Okay. Yeah, I saw where they said that John had written 40 books. I've written my 11th is coming out now. 40? Can't imagine how he pulled that off. That's just grinding. Let's see. Marcus, age 49, Lou Gehrig's disease. Wow. Okay. All right, Steve. He went to Salisbury for 1 year? Okay, because I saw Quinn's going to be speaking to Salisbury's graduating class, I guess in May, because he went to Salisbury. And I saw a picture of him on a track team, I guess. Enormous dude. I mean, Quinn was like 100 pounds bigger than he is now. So I was like, wow. So cool that he's going to talk to him. I'm sure he'll give a great speech. He's good at that on there. Anyway, if you want to hit the dollar sign there, some of you, it's a small crowd tonight, I guess. Who knows why, but that's fine. Throw something there to say, hey, Rick, thanks for doing this. We appreciate it. Gee, I didn't even have my on the air sign. I guess I should move my box around a little bit. All right, there we go. High tech. If you want to go see even my light rings in here. Got screwed up. I had to redo the room for that God show, and so I got to get it back, I guess. Marcus, Caveman book sounds interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's, hold on. Let's see. Oh, this is the old version that's no longer in print. I wrote this in 2000. And it's, it's your regular cookbook in a way. It's got all the recipes. What we got here? Cajun ribs, Hong Kong. It's got all the outdoor cooking. I used to cook. I have a chef certificate. Used to cook in a steakhouse for several years. I knew lots about cooking. So I got my old book rights back. You can't buy this anymore. It's out of print. And once it's out of print, authors can get their book back. And I decided, hey, let's do a new version. Put in some new, there's a lot of old stuff, but a lot of new stuff. And we'll have some fun with it. And should be out soon. I was looking at it today, trying to send it to the graphic designer and realized I needed to look at it one more time. See, you graduated in 05. Well, you're a punk kid. Wow. Okay. So yeah, you're a couple years behind me. Let's see. Gregory, do you think we get more prime timers this year? Oh yeah, I'm sure they do. I mean, they hardly got any before. So, yeah, I would think I'd love to see him play Philly in the opener on Thursday Night Football. That'd be kind of fun. I don't know if that's going to happen. There's a rumor about it, but the schedule is not done until it's done, and things change, and they have to swap out stuff for different reasons. I just hope the bye isn't the middle of December again. 3 straight years of that. I mean, it feels like a long season. If it feels like a long season on me, imagine the players. I would like to see a bye in like October. I mean, really, I think the league should use mid-October to mid-November as bye weeks. And if you don't play as many games, then you don't play. The league don't. It's not going to shut down. They can still do it with a few less games. The NFL is just God. They can't just make enough money. They'll do anything for that. But it's wrong to let a team have to wait that long into the season. 3 straight years. We all know Washington is not the league's favorite child, but maybe that changes with this owner. Godat, do you think we'll be playing in Europe with the Dolphins? That's a possibility. I haven't heard any buzz about this at all lately, but next week's the league meetings we'll probably hear. We might hear something then definitively about it. So that's possible. Joe, remember Norv was 7-1 and finished 8-8. Actually, I think they was it 8-8 or 9-7. They didn't make the playoffs. I remember that. Yeah, I think they finished 9-7, but didn't make wild card. They fired Ron Lynn. Oh yeah, I mean it was crazy. You thought 7-1, here we go, going to be something, and just shows you how things can go quickly. Bleh. I mean, look at this year. Washington lost 3 in a row after, a really good start, and you thought, oh no, but then they rallied, came back. Gregory, you're welcome. We hardly get sports anymore on the news like the days of Sonny and George. Yeah, that's because they have to have the weather updated 4 times in 30 minutes. I love the weather now. Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. So it's 68 degrees. I'll be back in 5 minutes to tell you what it'll be like in 5 minutes. I mean, it might rain tomorrow. Yeah. Oh, I love it. It's going to snow 200 miles from here. I mean, it's going to snow in Cumberland. I just don't know what the weather's like around the Beltway. And they come back and give you a 5-day forecast. So all this cuts out of the sports time. There's like nothing left. They don't pay sports guys anything like they used to. The days of, when Sonny and, George Michael were around and, even Warner Wolf. The funniest thing I ever saw Glenn Brenner do, and he did a lot of funny stuff, was he had live on the set, he had George Foreman, and George passed away this past week. But he gave this whole roasted turkey to George on the set, and George would sit there and tear it apart and eat it while he answered Glenn's questions. I don't know. I have to look that up and see if it's on YouTube. It was hysterical. George, Glenn was as funny as everybody said. He really was an amazing guy. Died young, He's buried right next to Edwin Stanton, who was Lincoln's Secretary of War. It's in Oak Hill up in sort of like above Georgetown. In D.C. I've stopped by and seen it a couple of times. Do anything for spring break? Well, I just got back from Hawaii, so I'm not going anywhere for a little while. I did Hawaii, Seattle, and L.A. My old partner, Jody Foldesy, was my Redskins partner on the Times when I worked at the Washington Times, is now out in L.A. and doing great. Some of you might remember him. And Hawaii, man, Hawaii is better than anything I would have imagined. I don't know if I'll ever go again because it's 5,000 miles away, but if you get a chance to go. It is definitely, Pearl Harbor, I was there. It was pretty awesome to see that too. And Seattle, I've always liked Seattle. And it didn't rain the day I was there, which, I laid over a day. My wife had never seen Seattle. We went and had fun down on the water and saw the, the Space Needle and all that kind of stuff, typical tourist stuff. So I did 2 weeks on the road, so I guess I have to stick around here for a little while. But maybe I might go see Field of Dreams in September. I'll see what the schedule's like. I might go to Iowa. I have 4 states left. Iowa and Nebraska, which I could knock out in one trip and see Field of Dreams while I'm doing it. Hawaii. I have Alaska, probably my last one. And Vermont. I'm afraid of Bernie Sanders, I guess. I don't know what happened there. Somehow I missed that one. So, that's my next trip, maybe. I don't know. Let's see, Steve. Glenn was a great reporter. Yeah, I mean, he was just a funny guy. George, worked hard, and he created an industry that I guess is now gone again. But George, I like George. I didn't have any problem with Gregory should install 2 bye weeks. Well, they're talking about it. If they go to 18 games, they would do a double bye. They did it, I think, just 1 year back in the 90s, and then we had double buys, and it was kind of very, I don't know, it didn't flow very well at times, but um, they have done it once. So they know they can do it, and that'll bump them over into President's Day weekend, which they always want. I'm not sure why. Why does everybody say nobody can go to the game and go to work the next day? Game's over by 10 o'clock in the East. You can't go to work. Oh, because you got blitzed out drunk. Well, that's your deal. Never understood that. When it was cool when I was in Seattle, the Academy Awards was on TV, so they're 3 hours behind. So the Academy Awards come on at like, I don't know, 4 or 5 o'clock, and I think it was done at like 7. And I thought, God, this must be really nice watching major stuff, and it's not 11 o'clock at night, and you're trying not to fall asleep. Watching the end of games. That must have been really great. The people in Hawaii told me. I asked the guy I was with. I said, "What's it like to watch the NFL in Hawaii?" He said, "Man, you got to get up in the morning to watch games because it's like 7 a.m. kickoffs or 6 a.m. depending upon how they don't change their time with the daylight savings thing. So sometimes your kickoff is 6 a.m. and if you have that London game, it's like 3 a.m." He said, "So it's kind of weird." I said, "Yeah, but your day, if you get the early game, 10 o'clock, you're free to go do what you want to do in Hawaii, I thought that was pretty cool. I used to do a radio show in Hawaii every week, and I appeared at 6 a.m. their time, and I asked the guy, I said, "Really, anybody listening?" He goes, "Oh, yeah, we got a lot of military, so they're all listening about their shows." I was like, "You got a lot of Redskins fans there?" He goes, "Well, we got people from everywhere." I did that 1 year. It was kind of fun. All right, Steve, 18 game schedules when you did 2 bye weeks. Yeah, I mean, that's part of the negotiations. One, you get more money, whatever the proration of 17 to 18 is. That's what, a 6% increase in your salary. They're playing another game, and you get an extra bye. So it's coming. New expansion team, Steve. Yeah, I mean, are they? I have a feeling they would only put 2 in Europe, but there's a lot of talk about 4 in Europe, 2 in London, 1 in Spain, which maybe this fall will tell us something there, and 1 in Germany. So they're talking about creating a division over there. I mean, if you had to come to the U.S., for a long time, people talked about Austin being a place, and Austin's not big enough. I mean, no, I know about Green Bay, but Austin's not big enough in the new world. And they said San Antonio. I've been to San Antonio, but I don't know. Maybe. And St. Louis, but I don't know. The owners are kind of still mad about that, lawsuit that they had to pay a lot of money when the Rams just left town. So I'm not sure St. Louis would get it for that reason. So you got to pay somebody a lot of money. You don't particularly want to do them any favors. So we'll see. Ooh, 8:37 already. Good. We're cracking through this. So anyway, Nationals do open Thursday. Maybe it's a 500 team this year. Got a lot of good young talent. So let's just hope that they can, and let's hope the pitching holds. This team needs to be sold. The Lerner family got its 20 years out of it. I noticed Bob Carpenter, the TV announcer, said this is his last season. He does a great job. Sorry to see him go. But the Nats, the Lerners haven't spent any money in a long time. Not really. And they need some new energy. Should it be Leonis? I don't know about that. Leonis wants programming for his networks. That's great, but you can buy that. I'd like to see an owner, maybe like Harris or somebody. I haven't heard anything about the stadium name lately being changed. They did put out some new uniforms for all of you. I love that. I actually thought they were pretty cool on there. And they, of course, in the paper today had, oh, look at all the new food options. Whatever. Go win a game. I don't care about your hot dogs that cost $20 because you put gold and something on them or whatever they're doing. I just grab a hot dog and a beer and watch the game. If I ever retire, if I ever really fully retire, my goal is to go to all 81 home games at the Nats and sit in a different seat in each one and finish behind home plate. We'll see if I get to pull that off. That's a lot going to 81 games. The Bounty Hunter, Steve. I don't know. San Antonio? San Antonio is a cool town. I liked it. It's kind of just in the middle of nowhere. It is in the middle of nowhere. I did a vacation. Memphis, where I saw Graceland, went all the way to San Antonio and saw the Alamo, 1,000 miles. Saw a lot of stuff along the way, and it was a great trip. But going to Texas in 100-degree heat, I might have rethought that. Gregory, how much longer do you think Goodell stays in his position? I think he has a few years left on his contract. Now, I think he'll fulfill them because he gets paid a lot of money. So I think it's several more years. He does what the NFL owners tell him, not what the fans want. And he gets paid by them and he protects them. He protected Dan Snider. So I've known Roger 30 years. I liked him a lot better 30 years ago than I do now. Okay. Let's see. We got 20 minutes to go if you got any questions. What else are we going to talk about? The Terps, because the show goes around. Terps got 5 guys that, or there's just a lot of talent, but I think you're going to have, if they're going to advance, they got to lean more on Queen. He could be a top 5 draft pick. So that's the guy you got to keep going. I'm not a big Willard fan, to be honest. Last year the team was awful. This year they're good. He's a good recruiter. I was thinking about this today. I mean, like Gary Williams, great game coach, best game coach this team has had. I started watching with Lefty in 73. So I've watched 50 years or so of this team. Gary's the best game coach. Best recruiter was probably Lefty. Lefty, man. I like Lefty. Rest in peace. Where Gary was a terrible recruiter. But Lefty, man, and I don't want to say this, was almost like Willard. And I know Turgeon, definitely. When the game was going on, they might as well have just gotten some popcorn and watched for all they're doing. I didn't think Willard called the smartest game in the world. But it's a lot. There's a lot to do about coaching. It's about keeping players happy and keeping them together, or else they're all going to go transfer out. And, oh, man, I wouldn't want that job anymore. Let's see. Seen any good movies lately? Steve, I wanted to go see Snow White. I kind of said, I know it sounds kind of weird, but I kind of wanted to see, a childhood movie of mine, how they modernized it. And I saw that hardly anybody went to it opening weekend. They just destroyed it. Nobody went. They're going to lose a lot of money on that. So I haven't even noticed if there's any decent movies coming up. There should be. I mean, by May, they always have them. So I'm hoping something decent is out there. I saw Happy Gilmore's doing a remake. I'll go watch that. That'll be fun. I like Adam Sandler. He's a funny guy. Problem is they all get so rich after a while they don't want to do movies anymore. That's how it works, I guess. Make the money, you don't have to do it. Marcus, I'm excited about opening day too for the Nats, just because I love baseball. Every beat writer who covers a team, their favorite sport is a different league, because when you're around it every day, it's a job. So I've never covered baseball as a beat guy. I had to cover baseball, but never as the daily guy. So I would be interested to see how good, what I love about baseball for 6 months is if nothing else is on TV or you just want to veg out, zone out or something, baseball is always there for you. There's a game every day, all the time. I like that. Football, you got to wait till Sunday or whatever. So that's what I like about baseball. It's your friend. It's going to be there. It's not so loud you can't stand it. You can just watch the game. Let's see. Todd, you hope Kevin comes back. Well, if he does, he does. I'm not going to really worry about it too much. And as far as AD, I agree with you. The next AD at Maryland should be somebody who wants to be at Maryland, not somebody who's sees it as a stepping stone. Greg, are we done with Northwest Stadium upgrades? No, they're spending a lot of money on stuff. A lot of stuff for rich folks, more than the average Joe in the seats, but they'll get to you too. Hopefully they've got more duct tape to finish up stuff. Steve, more of a Star Wars fan. Now, why can't Star Wars and Star Trek people both be happy? I watch both. I like both. I don't think we have to pick one. We have to pick one. So, um, Star Wars needs a new movie out. The last few have been pretty good, like Rogue One and all those. Largely, they've been pretty good. I'm up for a new Star Trek movie, Star Wars, and even a new Star Trek movie would be cool, even though they haven't had anything out in forever. There's one coming out next year. Okay, for Star Wars, huh? Next year they be, whatever. I was trying to do a Yoda for my grandkids. They don't know who Yoda is. And the stuff on Disney Channel where they've tried to do Star Wars stuff, boring. Just like this show tonight. I guess you guys don't have the energy with you. We're kind of in no man's land. There isn't a free agent thing to talk about. I've been happy enough with their free agency, I guess. I think they're saving the first round pick for a defensive end, more or less. I mean, that's the piece they still really need. Not that you couldn't use other things, but I'd rather see them get a DN. They had a strange, rash of signings for the defensive line. I swear they must have signed like 50 guys for the D line. It seemed like it. And they got some bigger guys, and what they're trying to do is have bigger guys in the middle, try and fill the run lanes a little more. But you don't have that defensive end. They signed some, but you don't have a defensive end that you're really going to go to war with. That's what they need. So I just have a feeling that's the first round pick. And they're picking 29, so you're not going to get the best one, but there tends to be a lot of defensive ends that are decent out there. So that's my guess. They've got enough in the offense now. If they have to win games 35-32, then you'll enjoy it because it'll be a lot of action. You don't want those 3-0 Jets games. That was so bad. Do I think Maryland can make the Final Four? Well, Ryan, I'm telling you, right here on my there it is. Here's my final, my bracket. There's Maryland Final Four in it. And then I have them losing. But yeah. Yesterday wasn't exactly a confidence builder, but Steve, the Mandalorian and Grogu movie in 26. What? No, I don't want that. And then 50th anniversary in 27. Wow, is that what it is? I guess it is. And Godzilla, who's he fighting next? No, I do not want a Mandalorian Grogu movie. No, I'm not going to that. No, that's just BS. Tell me you're making that up. Star Wars, 50th, whatever. Godzilla, I don't know. After a while, man, it's like go beat it. It's like that Island movie where they're always making new ones, Jurassic Park. How many times you got to watch a movie to realize don't go on an island with dinosaurs? Jeez, what part of this do you got to learn? Marcus, pass on Marvel movies. Well, I'm not like one of these Marvel DC comic rival people. I just try to get along with everybody. How about that? Try and enjoy each one. I don't think you have to take sides in life too much. I'll stand with the USA, but Gregory, have you seen the upgrades the Orioles have done now? No, I haven't been there in a while. The O's are a smart organization. They got a great stadium. The Ravens are a good organization. I haven't been in their stadium in a few years. But, once Washington got the Nationals, I didn't pay attention much to the Orioles anymore. I wish them well. I'm happy for their fans that the O's are a decent team again. Because I grew up watching the O's 60s to the early 80s. We're a good team. Sort of like the Redskins. And then it just went bleh. And it's nice to see they've got some wind back. Happy for their fans. They always say, it's not like baseball town. Well, look, there was only about, what I gathered from hearing from people, there were about 8,000 season ticket holders left for the Commanders 2 years ago, Dan's last year. There was nobody left. And it was kind of, it's not a football town anymore? No. It's just they got tired of the nonsense. O's fans were the same way. I don't watch Friday the 13th movies, Steve. Too scary. I got enough stuff to be scared about. blood work, stuff like that. Greg, you want more of the defense to be done? I agree with that. I mean, things like Bobby Wagner's just a stopgap signing for another year. You're going to need another middle linebacker. You're going to need something bigger on that D line. I'm not sure with what Lattimore is going to be on the secondary. So there's a lot of questions there. Marcus, I saw Riverboat Ron is hired as a GM for his alma mater. Yeah, California. What does that mean? I don't know. He's not doing the cap. I'm not sure what he's going to be doing there. That's his alma mater. They probably just gave him the job it might be that he's the guy that talks to alumni and raises some money, and there's a lot of things to be done. I'm glad, in a way, college football has finally just embraced the pro elements of things and is going that way. All right, Steve. Went to an O game 6 years ago. All right. Tell you, man, this pollen season is going to be a pain. By the way, the cherry blossoms, haven't talked about them. If you live around Washington, I know a lot of you don't, but the cherry blossoms are going to peak, big bloom, where they call it, where 70% are peaked, probably around Wednesday, Thursday, and it'll last for, I don't know, it can last anywhere from a few days to 10, 12 days. Depends on the weather, blowing them off. But I was just down the Tidal Basin yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah. And 2 days ago. And, cherry blossoms are about ready to go. So if you hate cherry blossoms and hate crowds, don't go near the Tidal Basin. But there are other places around town you can go. And I actually have a video tomorrow about that. So watch that at 6 a.m. if you can. I guess Marcus is a flower guy. The defense is good as Philly yet? No, Greg. But Philly lost some guys. So I'd have to really relook at the roster and see where they are. JT, do you think this improving O-line will be enough to get B-Rob going? I don't think B-Rob is the player that we were hoping he would be. But certainly a better line would help, help him a little bit because he does get hit a lot at the line. And nobody's going to look any good getting hit at the line. So can only help. But I don't think it's I think they're going to be looking for a new running back soon on that. All right. What else? So things in D.C. are picking up. It's a lot of tourists are starting to come to town. Thank you. We need your money. And if you, later on, I've heard from fans, but or readers, I should say, of you guys. When you come to D.C., if you want to go on tour, I pretty much just do private tours mostly now. So if you go to ricksniderswashington.com, you'll see a lot of my tour guide stuff there. And if you want to go, just let me know. I've got one this Saturday. One of you guys is coming to town. It is this Saturday. So we're doing Lincoln assassination. It's this weekend. Yeah. So got to write that down. No, I did. But if you're doing that, a lot of guys come in the fall. They come in a day early. You want to see it, especially people from like overseas coming to town for games. We go eat pizza after the tour. We talk Commanders. So go to ricksniderswashington.com and you can see it all there. Ryan thinks they'll draft a running back either way. I don't know. They kind of got the backfield set of what they like. Not that they can't improve on it, but they seem to like what they have back there this year. Next year, I think you can make a big change. Let's see. Steve. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. Well, don't blow up my ceiling like Fred Flintstone. Yeah. I never had allergies till I turned 50 a while ago. Now I'm getting old and puny. Do I have any stories about Johnny Holiday or Todd? It's funny. Last time I saw Johnny, I forget. I said, Johnny, I was a teenager listening to you call Maryland games. And he starts really laughing like, oh, my God, how old am I if you were a teenager? And I looked it up. I think I was 19 when Johnny came to Maryland. Great guy. He is what you think he is. Is nice a person. Great memory on things. Used to actually do local community theater, the Albany Theater. So he would perform as an actor on stage. Had that bug for a few years. I guess he's in his 80s now. But still works hard, still loves what he does. He'll be doing it till he dies. Let's see. Never give up. Here you go. Long time. Yeah, I'm doing as well as I can. The old man aches and pains, but big deal. Other than that, doing better than a lot of people. So I'm happy. I'm kind of semi-retired, doing passion projects a lot more. So I don't spend all my time doing Clay Farrell updates I couldn't believe they re-signed Clay Farrell. I mean, he was on the injury report pretty much every week last year. Only played so many games, limited amount. I was really surprised they pulled him back. Maybe they thought, hey, bad luck getting hurt so early in the season. Let's run it back one more time. Okay. Let's see. So Todd's been listening to Johnny since 2001. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to believe that there'll be life after John. I mean, he does football and basketball. He used to have a team, a basketball team, and he did the Redskins. So back in at least the late 60s, early 70s, the Redskins had a traveling basketball team, guys like Joe Theismann, and they would play local junior highs or high schools teams of the teachers. And so you come in, it's a chance to go, sit in your gym and watch the Redskins like Joe. And Theismann was a pretty good player, basketball-wise, too. A lot of them, they're professional athletes. So Johnny Holiday, I believe, coached that team. And so that was always funny. It was called the Wonders, I think. So R.L. Smith, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. Doesn't matter what it is. I appreciate it always. Ryan, did you see Maryland is now considered an Ivy League school? Well, I heard that stuff. My degree is hanging up over there. I have a Bachelor of Science degree, which is now a Bachelor of Arts degree is what they give out. But back then, journalists were science, for whatever reason that is. This job is more of an art than science. I would say that. Who knows? Both my kids went to Maryland, too. So, I mean, Maryland's a good school. You got to have – I couldn't get in today. I mean, well, I'm old. But, in Maryland, if you're over 60, you can go to Maryland for free. You have to pay some of the fees, but you don't have to pay tuition. It's waived. But what would I do with a master's degree now? I'm trying to retire, So it's kind of strange how that works out. But I'm glad to see Maryland's doing so well. Got a lot of big, shiny buildings. Todd's a young buck. Yeah. Okay. You know what we do to bucks. Mike's better later than never. Okay. That's funny. Sometimes you guys are funny. Mostly not, but occasionally. Next week I start cutting grass too. So for those of you in the Washington area, here we go. I got a grandson this year, wants to cut grass, so he's going to realize it sucks after a while. But I've got a small ride mower for him, so how bad can it be? Ain't like when I was a kid, we had a scythe. I mean, a long thing with a blade that you turn around and cut grass with. Try doing that. And then we had one with the push mower with the rotating blades. So by the time we got a gas mower, that was like, high hog. And then finally, when I left home, my father bought a riding mower because he now had to cut grass for the first time in 20 years, between me and my brother. And I said, where'd you get the money for that? Because Dad didn't have a lot of money. He says, I don't feed you anymore. Fair enough. Okay, Greg, is most of the draft weekend defense? No, I wouldn't say that. I'd say it's whatever. Once you get past the first couple picks, they don't have a lot of picks. And I think then you just go for what you think is the best guy you can get. Mike, I don't know if you think I'm the one that sounds sick. It's allergies is all. Allergies, and I've been up since 5 a.m., so my voice is kind of going. Steve, I probably won't start mowing until mid-April. Yeah, I'm a week or so. But a week from now is April 1st, week tomorrow. April Fool's Day. God, did we do this show on April Fool's Day? 2 weeks to Masters. That's one thing I've never covered and don't really care, Marcus. I covered about 25 golf tournaments, PGA kind of things, or seniors and that kind of. So I've covered major golf. Uh, bored me to death. Bored me to death. So Steve, you got to wear earphones using a leaf blower. Okay. Um, I've just got my first set of um, hearing aids about 6 months ago, and I had a childhood illness that cost me my hearing a good bit. So now I get to hear things with hearing aids, and I'm like, who's talking to me? Oh, nobody is. I'm just walking by people, and they're talking. That's really a weird thing. Really, it's so different hearing it. But I know a lot of my friends and all are glad that they don't have to repeat things to me all the time. I finally just needed to get them and got them before I went on Medicare. Medicare, what a racket. I got to pay so much more money to keep my health insurance. Why don't you just leave me alone? Let's see. Ryan, crazy how fast the draft will be here. Well, sure. It's a month from now. I was just telling my wife yesterday, we boarded the cruise ship a month ago. God, it just goes quick. Steve, then comes the hummingbirds. Yeah, I've got birds that when I'm out mowing, and I've got 3.5 acres, and I'm out in an open field mowing, and the birds, it's like they want to dive bomb me. Well, this is a strange conversation, but they're not. They come really close to me and it annoys me to death. But they're actually trying to get all the insects that are being, thrown about with my mower. So, little bastards, I hate these things. Starlings. I'll give them credit. They've got great agility. They come real close and then, so I learned to, have like a sound thing that hits them sometimes if I get too close. Yeah, I do have bionic ears, have bionic eyes. I've got a cataract growing on my left eye. It's not terrible yet, but I probably have to do cataract surgery. Go on Medicare, they pay for everything. So I'm waiting a few months for that. And then it's a few weeks that you're really, my wife had to do this. If you ever think about having to do it, it's several weeks of recovery. And if you wear glasses, then you have that problem. And so I may not be able to do it till next January after football season. Marcus, college football players reported to Oklahoma. Oh, yeah, okay. It doesn't surprise me any. I like how Dion says he wants to have a game instead of a scrimmage, for his spring game against another team. Cool, why not? Make some money. Maryland had one for years. Friesian wouldn't let us watch it. The fans could watch it, but the media couldn't. Really weird. All right, it's 9:00. There you go. Last questions. I'll ring the bell. Oh, an owl got you? Steve, wow. Huh, that's wild. Because the owls can be big. I have hawks that circle my skies because I'm part of an old farm. But the great part is they grab, snakes and mice and all those things. Marcus, next Tuesday, let me look at my calendar real quick. Okay, so, I'm on tour too. I don't know. I might take a week off next week. I mean, there's nothing really going on. We've talked about nothing important tonight. So I may not. I'll put up an announcement on it. I may skip next week because I've got tour guiding stuff too and wife's birthday. And nothing we're talking about you're going to miss. So let me think about it. I'll post something on the YouTube board. I hadn't really thought about it. It's not like I'm making a lot of money here, you guys. I think I made about $6 in tips or something tonight. So thank you so much for that. Hey, you take what you take. All right, anyway, I'm Rick Snider for Rick Snider's Washington. Thank you all so much for coming. Videos at 6 a.m. and sometimes in the afternoon. Kind of slacking off a little bit lately. Sorry, but there's nothing really going on. I don't want to sit here and make up crap like so many other websites do. Not making it up, but just turning, 3 guys that they may think about. Who cares? That kind of thing. NRG, thank you so much. Todd, you too. Your charitable saying tonight was a great show. It's just we just talked for an hour. Well, yeah. Did Mrs. and I go to the same high school? No, Steve. We went to opposing high schools, but we did meet in high school, and we've been married 44 years. But I didn't go to date. I didn't date the girls in my high school. They would have hurt me if I broke up with them. I found a pretty girl at next high school. Worked out well for me, and that way none of my friends could, scare her away from me. Do you think you ever move out of Maryland? No, Greg, because this is where all my kids and grandkids are. Why would I want to go anywhere else? I've seen the grandkids 3 times in the last 48 hours. I see them tomorrow. I don't see them all the time. It's like everything. They have jobs. They have lives. I have lives. But we do try and see each other a bit. Why would I want to go live somewhere else? Not that Maryland's the greatest state, but this is where my people are. So, no, I'll never leave, I don't think. I don't think I'm ever going to leave this house. I got a nice place after 50 years of working hard. I got this piece of an old farm, several acres, built a house. This is the nicest place I've ever lived. So I don't think I'm going to be anywhere but here. So anyway, all right, guys, I'm out of here. Thank you all so much for coming, and I'll see you again soon.